Hello, welcome to another episode of The High Ground, powered by Premier Companies. Ryan, how are you doing today?
Hey, so far so good.
So far, so
absolutely.
good.
I'm here. I'm here in the podcast room, so we're good.
Well, we got a guest with us. It's a returning guest, and it's Brad Chesnek, the not marketing manager, but the field marketing director for the entire East, right? Of WinField United. Is that correct, Brad?
That's correct. Yeah, I cover essentially everything east of the Mississippi for us on the crop protection side of our business.
All right. Well, Brad, as you know, you're probably aware and remember that we start off every podcast before we get into anything. We want to have the question of the day. And today's question is, what is your least favorite or most hated business buzzword or cliche? You know, when you go to the meetings and somebody talks a long time but doesn't say anything. So,
yeah,
what's your least favorite?
Did you look at me?
I didn't. I looked away. I looked away.
I felt it.
We'll circle back though.
Yeah.
My God.
Stop.
I would say, I'd say maybe it's not necessarily meetings, maybe it's just the industry, but it's this Me Too movement, right? It's you have this product and that you're buying from someone, and I've got one just like it, right?
Oh.
Everyone's got something just like something else. It's there's always a comparison to premium products, be it post patent versus something that's an original versus an original registrant. Maybe it's an adjuvant, maybe it's a micro product. You can get a little bit ambiguous on a label on an adjuvant and a micronutrient, right? With differences in chelations and inert ingredients. So it's really hard to sort through some of that fluff and some of that haziness. So that's one that bugs me a little bit. And we always have to do a little extra homework to make sure that we figure out exactly what's in the jug. Because it's really easy to just say, oh, that's the same thing I have. And I'm way cheaper, right? So that's one thing that really tends to make me scratch my head sometimes and make sure we're giving the right message around what's actually there and what's not. A lot of smoke and mirrors sometimes.
Yeah. Well, you took that out of a little different than what I was thinking when you said the Me Too movement. I wasn't sure exactly where he was going to go. So
but then a couple sentences in, it was almost like he said something bad about a family member of his. I mean, he sort of, he went from 0 to 100. He's pretty mad about it. So, all right, Brad, fine.
oh, shoot. Ryan, what is yours?
Oh, and you said it already. I mean, the circle back.
The circle back?
Yeah, and I think the reason I hate it is because I am really bad about it. I'm really trying to move on to the next thing, and I think I present that to people, and when I hear it presented to me, I think the first thought through my mind is, no, let's just do it now. I don't want to talk about it again. Let's just do it now. But I also think I'm a habitual user of it. So that's a call out to myself to stop. So
I tell you, it's sometimes you go to a meeting or you're sitting and listening to somebody and they put a whole string of buzzwords or cliches together, and you know they don't think out of the box very much.
Well, at the end of the day, that's what they've got to do.
And you just took mine. It was at the end of the day.
Nice.
You know,
That's what we're all working for.
I had a manager, and that's what he would always. That was part of his punctuation was at the end of the day. But you know what? He made it work. He did make it work, and
when it's all said and done,
there you go. Thank you, Brad. I think we could just do a whole podcast just on this.
That would be funny if we would just not be allowed to say anything except for those buzzwords. The entire conversation.
When it's all said and done.
Yeah,
it's just.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So,
well, Brad.
Something important, Brad.
Oh, shoot. I know we go to a meeting. We'll play business buzzword bingo. And that's always fun. We pass out the cards before the presentation and check things off.
Just don't let the boss.
No, you don't want that. Don't want that. Well, Brad, thanks for joining us. We're going to talk about crop protection. That is where your area of expertise, and there are a lot of things different this year than last year. And so if you're a farmer or whether you're a business, tell us a little bit about some of the things that we've seen with pricing changes. Some things are up, some things are down, and maybe a few things were surprising, and freight and everything. So, what kind of give us an overview, Brad?
Yes, absolutely. So, as we've all seen in the last 12 months, you know, as you look at the cost of getting a gallon or a pound of crop protection to the farm gate, what's comprising of that end cost to the user has changed, right? We've seen transportation adjust, uh, transportation availability as well has changed dramatically. And then we also see cost of AI is also taking that slide down as that availability, not necessarily the cost of the tech or the AI, but the availability, supply drives pricing down whenever you start to get the channel preloaded, essentially. So crop protection specifically has felt that compression. You look at the commodity AIs from a herbicide perspective, around glyphosate and glufosinate. I mean, those have nosedived essentially over the last 6 to 12 months. So we keep feeling that compression. It's hard to keep up with the market sometimes because there's always someone cheaper, right? I mean, that's just how it is. And there's so much price transparency, which is great for the farmer, for everybody to understand where things are moving. But I think sometimes we have specific channels in our system that tend to hedge their bets sometimes, knowing they won't have product until the spring. It's not immediately available. They're essentially predicting what their cost of goods will be, and then that's somewhat disruptive to the marketplace because I'm really cheap right now, but you can't have it till next spring. I don't have it, right? So So that's somewhat the landscape of the marketplace. We're essentially in a 10-year low on a lot of the commodity AIs right now, and obviously we had a spike when we ran into all the logistical and just the balance with COVID and everything that we ran into there. And this is somewhat of the backlash that we have from that, but we're getting normalized a little bit, and we just gotta have to be cognizant of this trough. We're somewhat in the trough right now. There may be some upswing on certain things, but I don't think it's going to be as dramatic of an incline as we saw in 21, 22 cases like that.
Okay.
So the other piece that we may hit this, and I may be jumping the gun, but the other big factor here is cost of money right now. Everybody understands that APR rates are at a 20-some odd year high, and what that means to a grower of where they invest their money at. You want to, as you look at prepay, where you spend your cash, what's the best spot to put your money? Because it's been pretty flat. The standard APR rates, at least from a crop protection standpoint, has been pretty solid for several years. Now it's somewhat fluid and a little more unpredictable. So spending your money in the right spot is very important right now.
Yeah, that's something we haven't had to consider, and that's come up on other recent podcast about just the interest rates and that impact on the business. And when we had certainly in the low ones and twos, it was fairly easy. Twos and threes you could cover a lot of mistakes. It really didn't impact you. But now, if you make a bad decision, you've got the price risk and the interest cost of carrying that with you. Go back a little bit, Brad. I like what you said about the some of the players. I don't know why we can't get away with this, but they'll give a cheap price out in the market, and they don't have it, but they'll take your money, and then they'll say, up until the delivery point, they'll be like, well, now you can't have it at that price. And they get away with it somehow, which is just
well, that's market disruption at its finest, Sal.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
There's a lot of that, and it's the fly by nights that you can't really necessarily depend on are the ones that are doing that, right?
Yep.
It's pounds and gallons. They're just trying to get them moved, and you got to rely on somebody that you relied on over several years and that you can depend on to get you there. And to be honest, right now in this marketplace, I wouldn't go crazy on filling the shed like we've had to in the past, or even taking a huge position on all of your inputs, because we don't know what this market's doing necessarily. I would hedge my bet and spread my risk out, no different than a grower would selling grain, right? You're not going to sell 100% of your next year's crop in November. You're going to watch it, and you're going to cost average it out. You're going to take time and make sure that nothing crazy happens. You may sell it at a too low a price in the fall, and then next spring you have a better opportunity. So I think we have to look at it that way, as we have to spread our risk and take what we need on what we know we're going to use, and then just go from there, because it's, as we all know, this crop protection market's very volatile right now. We have some suppliers that haven't reacted on glyphosate specifically to what the market's doing. Glufosinate the same way. Those are the two G's, as we call in my group, that are, there's a lot of things in limbo right now that we just have to take what we know we need and let things play out a little bit. You don't need to knee-jerk react to a lot of things right now on maybe some of those things. That would be my one piece of advice, is let the dust settle. We had a lot of suppliers have a market year change here effective 10/1, and the others that compete with them on herbicide, insecticide, fungicide haven't reacted to that yet. And there will be a reaction, but that dust needs to settle, and we'll kind of see how that plays out. But it's been we're kind of in that transition stage as we move into the next crop year, and we've only made a couple moves. There's plenty of moves to happen between now and the end of the year, and especially spring.
So, Brad, I've not really been paying attention. I'm just trying to listen to you use a buzzword. So
I know. We're trying to catch you.
Yeah, I don't know. You may have already covered this, but no. So when you give that advice about, let's not make rash decisions, or let's not put all our eggs in one basket currently, how does a supplier like WinField United, how do you prepare for that as people begin to delay decisions based on interest rates, based on looking for the better deal? Eventually we're all held to the same standard from a weather, and we're all kind of blow out of the gate at the same time. So as you kind of rely on this downtime to supply your vendors, your retailers, how does WinField go about preparing for these situations where there may be some delay in the market regardless, and we can't control that?
Yeah, I think that one big thing is continuing to plan, but knowing that plan may change, and understanding that we need to, after the first of the year, understand that we're going to be a little bit more consistent. But it's hard. It's hard to do that, right? Have you ever gone into a crop year and your plan was absolutely perfect from on March 1st or April 1st? There's always a time where you have to pivot and change your plan, but you have to have a plan to start with. You can't shoot from the hip the whole time. So what we do is we obviously have projections. We know historically on specific AIs what we've sold, and position it and take positions on it with our suppliers, but we don't know what those costs of goods are going to be in the next 6 months, and that's a little bit. We've got to get in a position where we take some of that risk upon ourselves. But from an owner and retailer standpoint and grower standpoint, I just think that you have to be aware of what your needs are. But let's spend time on that planning and see what happens. I don't think right now our guidance is take your fall needs on a lot of this stuff, and let's look at it in November, December. The plan is fluid. We continue to adapt and adjust as things move around. And I just don't think that there's a time of the year. There used to be a down season in agriculture. I don't think that's happens anymore, right? It's always a continual process. So there's no perfect answer. Everyone, you deal with it exactly like I do and we do from WinField United as far as getting a plan and adjusting and tweaking it. So there's no perfect formula to it. It's just keeping after it and making sure whenever your grower goes to the field, you have product in the shed and we have product in the shed.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it. I mean, certainly WinField's been good about moving, finding its products when they're short supply. And part of that is some of that is driven just from WinField's been driving a lot of cost out as they're moving products around and delivering. Tell us a little bit about that initiative and how that's turned out, because they've changed a little bit about how they deliver and with fuller trucks and what's been some of the results of that initiative. I forget what it's called, but it's a full truck initiative or I don't know, but it was they've done well to drive out a lot of cost.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, as we came through the COVID situation and getting out of that kind of slump we had with transportation, you all and we all have to be as efficient as possible. We understand that. So the forecasting piece has made it super important, like I said a second ago, on the planning side. But it's been beneficial to our owners to not be and retailers and growers, right? It's about making sure that you kind of know what you need, not just wait till the order happens and try to fulfill it in the next 24 hours. Because that makes it tough, right? We don't know what we know until it happens sometimes. So if you can be a little bit proactive on that, if that's how we can work together to do that, I think that's the most important thing. And Sal, I know you all do a great job of staging product and knowing what your potential needs are. But what we have to make sure of the in-season piece is still being able to supply the channel, still being able to maybe do that one-off outside of our delivery, structured delivery piece to fulfill a need. We always find a way, but it's driven our cost to serve down, and that pays dividends to your growers and Premier Cooperative. So it's good for all of us. I think everyone realizes that efficiency is imperative right now, and I think it's driven down us focusing on it has driven down the returns that you all get from your growers. What we deal with as well, because people are doing a better job of planning. It's not this, especially right now, it's not this hoarding mentality where you're going to get every gallon you can of something because you don't know if you're going to have it or not, because of allocations, supply challenges we've had. So people spent more time planning, and I know allocations weren't fun and supply struggles weren't fun, but I think as an industry, it made us better in the long run.
Yeah, that's true. You got rid of some bad habits, because we would tend to hoard things up and end up at the end of the year with pretty high inventory rates. And this has made us a little bit better to lean up.
Or wait till the last minute and just expect you to bring us two boxes of something, which was always really handy. But it's sure made terrible managers.
That's right.
Exactly. Sal's got a pickup truck.
Yep.
Yeah, we're all basically trained truck drivers when it gets busy.
Exactly. Hey, anything new coming down the line product wise, Brad, that you want to talk about? You see any new initiatives happening?
I would say, I'm not sure what long I'm going to hit on, so I may be redundant here, but we do have a new fungicide coming out called Everlon, which is SDHI chemistry plus a triazole. So 2 modes of action, no azoxy or a strobilurin type fungicide in there. It's a SDHI plus triazole, but I think that will be interesting in our proprietary lineup. So that one is exciting. Warden CX2, very new technology, we partner with Syngenta to help us, create that seed treatment technology. That came out last year, so that's not a super new one, but I think that one's really starting to take off. And then a new product we have, which is called ZMB Plus, which is zinc, manganese, and boron. Short version of this, a lot more boron in it than what our original ZMB formulation was. About 20x what we had in there before. We had just a smidge of boron in there, and then also, we've got the Maxin type technology in there as well. So it's essentially version 2 of ZMB that we launched, 10 years ago. It's labeled and approved with all of the dicamba technologies except cavium at this point. So we should have that very soon. So that was one holdback or one kind of issue we had with ZMB initially because of the pH. It kind of didn't jive with the volatility piece, and this is our response to that. So excited about that product from a foliar nutritional standpoint and moving into 24.
Okay.
Good.
Well, that's quite a bit. Ryan, do you have anything else for us today?
I don't, Brad. Thank you. Always interesting.
And in short notice, Brad, we always appreciate that. I caught him coming back from Mississippi from a meeting, and I was like, "Hey, Brad, can you join us tomorrow?" And he's like, "Sure."
There you go. Well,
so thanks for all you do for us, Brad. We do appreciate. Folks don't know you're just a phone call away anytime we need you, and we certainly appreciate your support at Premier Ag. So, and our partnership with WinField United. So that's all I got. Brad, thank you for joining us. And we'll have you on here again.
Yeah, appreciate it, Brad. Thank you.
Anytime.
All right. And that's all we have with the High Ground powered by Premier Companies. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you later. Thank you.
Thanks.